Do you ever lay down in the grass and just wonder, what is the perfect adventure bike? Or even the perfect bike in general? A bike that can literally do it all and fulfill every need. That one bike you can take on an enduro ride in the weekend, but also travel to the south of Europe with. Well, I don't. At least, I don't do it anymore. I used to search for that perfect bike. That perfect do-it-all adventure bike that can do everything you want. Going on long travels, riding on the road, doing extreme enduro events, like doing everything in an extreme. But I came to the realization that it's just not possible to find the perfect bike. You can find a really good bike, a bike that suits you really well, but you will always have to compromise in things. And yet it's a really personal thing. How much money do you have to spend? What's your physical appearance? How tall are you? Do you have room to have two bikes? Do you have room to have one bike? Where are you going to travel? Everyone has different needs. So it's really personal to choose a perfect bike. Since I got my license, which is about 4 to 5 years ago, I bought and sold quite a lot of bikes. A bit too fast for my liking, but hey, I was on that hunt for the perfect adventure bike, which I still haven't found. But I do want to take you guys on this circle of life, and starting with my first bike I bought and ending up with the last bike I sold. Just the reasoning behind it, so I can explain you guys why I did it, but also make you guys a bit wiser. Maybe it helps you in finding a nice bike to ride with, because I'm gonna stop referring to the term perfect, as it just doesn't exist. So I'm gonna use a little list on my mobile phone, as I can't remember all the things I wrote down, and I want to make this a pretty efficient video. I can rumble on about the bikes I bought and sold for a whole day, but I want to keep this short and just give you guys some information on the bikes I had, why I sold them, really short. If you guys ever want to know more about one of those bikes or my opinion on one bike, please let me know in the comments so I can make a separate video about it or just explain you some thoughts. So when I got my license, the first bike I got was a Duke, a KTM Duke 790, which I bought for a really good deal. I think I bought it for, I think it was 7,200 euros at the dealer new. And it was my first road bike. I wanted a road bike because I did some motocross in the past and I wanted to experience riding on the road because I just had my license. I ended up doing 4,000 kilometers on that bike, doing some small trips every weekend. I did 4,000 kilometers in 2 or 3 months, and I just said to myself, road riding or constantly being on the road is too dangerous for me, and it's not where I vibe. I'm an off-road rider, and yeah, it wasn't my thing. I sold it for 7,500 euros and got rid of it. So then I decided I wanted my first street legal off-road bike. At the moment, I still am very into vintage bikes. I bought the Honda XR 600R. Was actually a very special bike because the first date of registration was my birthday and my birth year. So I should have not sold it, but hey, I'm a young guy, I can't keep every bike I have or had. So the XR 600 was a really nice bike. I did buy one which was a bit clapped. There was a lot of things I had to do about it, but I learned a lot about wrenching on bikes, especially the older ones, and the things I didn't know about like jetting and stuff. I never had a bike which needed jetting, so yeah, I learned everything about carburetors and stuff. So I wanted to make it travel ready, and it just needed a lot of work and money at the moment to make it travel ready. It was kickstart only, which wasn't the biggest deal, but the subframe in the back was just not strong enough for luggage. So I would need to reinforce the back end of the bike, add a lot of side mountings for panniers and stuff. It had a really weak stator, So if I wanted to add GPS and stuff like that, I needed a stronger stator, which costs a lot of money. It was a super nice, fun bike to just take out in the weekend and do some green laning and some off-roading, but that's about it. It was a bit too basic to travel, for me at least. I know there's people traveling around the world on XR600s, but for me it was just not it. I do still have an XR600 on my list, and if I ever have the space to put a third bike, I would definitely buy one and make it how I want it. So I sold that one with a bit of profit, and I bought the Honda XRV 750 RDO4. An amazing bike. It's one of the best looking adventure bikes out there with the dual headlights, together with the XTZ 750 Tenere. Those bikes have so much character. I was even thinking about getting one again, replacing my Tenere, but I can't justify putting a lot of money in a really old bike which I will never see again. So that gets me to the next points. It was a super nice bike. It has a nice amount of power, a lot of character, really linear on the throttle, easy to work on. Yeah, just a lot of plus, but the suspension and brakes are so outdated, and I ride my bikes pretty hard, and I had one moment where I was doing 120 on a sand path, and I just hit, like, there was like a gutter, and I hit it full force, and I even bent my handlebar. I hit it so hard that I was like, no, or I have to ride a lot slower with the bike, or I have to pump like 3,000 euros into suspension or even more to make it a capable bike. So that was not something I wanted to do at the moment. So yeah, it's really outdated, which is a plus for maintenance and working on it when you're on the road. But yeah, the suspension and stuff like that is a really bad point. Sitting on the bike, I'm 1.88 meters. So for me, it was a bit cramped in leg room, and you have these side edges on the tank, and my knee was constantly on it. So riding it a bit more aggressive was a bit painful for me. So another reason why I don't have the bike anymore, because it has to be comfortable for me. Then I bought the KTM 890 Adventure R. I also bought it at a really good price. I think I paid 12,000 and a bit for the Adventure R with the rally seat and the tech pack. So got that one. I test drove one before I bought one. I was sold on it. I drove a Tenere 700 with upgraded springs, and then an 890, a stock one, and that 890 was so much better when riding it it was on a small dirt motocross track, and it was so good. So I decided I wanted one. I bought one. It was my first like expensive new bike above 10k, which was a big thing for me financially. So I bought that one. As I said, it's the best performing bike out of the box that you can buy from the mid-size adventure range. I think that, and maybe the Touareg Rally, those two are the best bikes you can buy without having to upgrade them suspension wise and everything else. I think the 890 is really ugly. The facelift one it looks a lot better, but the original one with the no fairings on the headlight is super ugly. Personal opinion. Why did I sell it? Actually, I would have kept driving it, but I had so many warranty issues. I can go in depth on another video about which warranty issue and everything else, but I had so many warranty issues, and every time I came at the dealer, I had to explain myself. So one of the things that was a warranty issue was at around 850 kilometers, so before the first service check, one of the seals got shot, like completely shot. It was destroyed. Fork was leaking, whatever. KTM and the dealer said, we can't pay that. It's not warranty because there's a little bit of dirt on your bike. So that means you rode it off-road, so it's your own fault. And I literally told them, guys, you make an adventure bike which is made for riding in the sand, and after 800 kilometers, it's just shot, then it's a warranty issue. But every time I came back for a warranty issue, it was always the same. They were always blaming me. I always had to fight for my warranty, and I was just sick of it. So I decided I don't want to fight over warranty issues, and I just sold the bike for a very good price, almost the same as I bought it, and got on with it. So I decided that I like the mid-range adventure bike, because I decided I wanted one bike to do it all. Maybe a bit of background. I used to ride 1 or 2 years of motocross, and the rest of my life is downhill mountain biking. So I'm capable off-road, but I'm definitely not an enduro rider, or I haven't been on off-road bikes for all of my life. So you know. So I decided I wanted a travel bike which I can ride aggressively. So a mid-size adventure with some upgrades which I can ride aggressively off-road. So searching a bit, I was thinking about getting a Tenere 700 and upgrade the suspension, or get the new Tenere 700 Extreme, which was only 800 euros more for upgraded suspension. So I decided to go and buy a new Tenere 700 Extreme. So that was the last bike you saw in my videos, and it was a super nice bike. Yes, it has some flaws. It's not as good as an 890 Adventure, but it's really reliable. It has a super sweet power plant, the CP7 engine. It's not as electronic as the 890, so it gives for a really reliable bike. And it's good enough for off-roading, but you have to spend a lot of money on extras. So, as I wrote down here, it's one of the best all-round adventure bikes. I think for pure aggressive riding and you have the money, get a KTM. But a do-it-all bike, Tenere 700. The Extreme version is definitely worth it for 800 euros more with the added suspension. As I said, compared to a KTM, it needs suspension work. Needs a lot of upgrades. For me personally, it's one of the best looking modern adventure bikes you can buy at the moment, apart from the Ducati Desert X, but that's not in my price range at all. First of all, I thought the tank size would be enough, because I didn't want the bulky, what it's called, the Tenere World Raid with the bigger tanks, but it was too wide for me at the moment. So I went for the smaller tank size, but I did run into the limit of it in Andorra. So I really had to think a little bit about fueling and stuff. For me, it was one of the best seating positions. The KTM 890 Adventure R has a nice aggressive motocross seating position, but for riding adventure, riding long highway miles, and even going to a motocross track, I think the Tenere has the best all-round seating position. Also, being it the normal Tenere, you can really get up front to the tank for cornering and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of aftermarket parts available, and there's a lot of people having knowledge about those bikes on forums. So it's a really nice bike. It has one of the best sounds, although the 890 sounds great as well. They are just parallel twins. For me, almost all the parallel twins with an exhaust sound the same. They sound really barky. It's nice, but a bit of a hooligan sound, but yeah, it's nice. And it's just a really nice engine. I know it doesn't produce as much horsepower as a KTM, but it's just a really nice, yeah, engine to ride. It's really linear. It gets you up and over everything. So yeah, it was a bit top heavy. I see a lot of people complaining about top heaviness about the Tenere 700. I'm gonna be really arrogant and tell those people that if you find the Tenere 700 too top heavy, maybe you shouldn't be off-roading on an adventure bike. And I know it's a really brutal statement, but I think if you can't handle the weight of a Tenere 700, you're either on the wrong bike, or you're doing the wrong stuff with an adventure bike, or you need more training. Yes, it's top heavy, but it's not top heavy as in it is a problem to pick up or anything. It's one thing I stand with is you have to be able to pick up your adventure bike or any bike on your weakest point of the day. So if you're tired, you're fatigued, and you drop your bike at the end of the day, you should still be able to pick up your bike. There is some moments where you're just stuck in the mud and you can't get it out. Yeah, that's different. But if you just fall down, you can't get your bike up, you're riding the wrong bike. So why did I sell the Tenere 700? Well, I finally, like the last video you guys see on the channel is the OTR ride. And that OTR ride was one of my first enduro events, and I enjoyed it so much. It was one of the best experiences I had so far on a motorbike, and I just wanted more. But doing it on an adventure bike was super heavy. You ride around 1 to 2 hours to the event, so you want to get the most out of it. You pay for the event, so I don't want to waste it. And with the adventure bike, I can ride max 1.5 laps and I'm just completely done. Maybe that's just my physique, but riding it on an adventure bike is not the best suited. So I decided to get another small bike for extreme stuff, for enduro rides, and then get another adventure bike, which can be a bit more comfortable, which is also able to do the travels I did in Andorra and the TET routes, but isn't as much focused on being an extreme mid-size adventure bike. So yeah, why is the Tenere gone? Again, super good bike. For me, it was both the decision to get another extra bike, so not one do-it-all bike and just get 2 bikes. And it was also financial because the Tenere is a pretty expensive bike. I think it cost me around 14,000 euros. If you crash that bike, it costs a lot of money to replace, let's say, a headlight or fairings. It's all a lot more expensive than on enduro bikes. So, and when I do the off-road events, it's also on heavier enduro tires. I didn't want to be switching tires all the time. I just want one bike that I can take for the extreme stuff, and I want one bike that I can use for TET routes and traveling. And actually getting 2 bikes was cheaper for me than having the one Tenere in the end. So I think it's almost the same amount of money, but now I have to purposely build bikes. So yeah, in short, that's why I sold the Tenere. That is why I bought and sold bikes. So you guys have a bit more of an idea of my journey to find the bike I'm going to pick up next week. So stay tuned. Next week there will be a video of me picking up my new bike, explaining why I bought that bike. And yeah, I hope you guys still like my content now that I sold my Tenere 700. I bought another adventure bike, which is also a unicorn bike, and I want to give that bike a chance. So keep following me for more travels and more rides, enduro rides, adventure rides. I will definitely keep posting on the channel, and if you have any questions about bikes, or if you want to talk with me about buying or selling bikes and everything about it, please hit me up and I will gladly help you out. So see you guys in the next video.